Jacob Burton here from StellaCulinary.com, and in this video, I'm really excited to bring you this technique of spatch cooking chicken over vegetables with a little bit of stock in the pan, and then we take that stock and we reduce it with the vegetables to form a glaze. It's an amazing technique that is sure to become a classic in your kitchen. So here I have a whole chicken, about 5 to 6 pounds, and you'll notice that I removed the excess skin flaps by the legs using kitchen shears. And I'm going to lay the chicken on its back and scrape the inside of the wishbone, cutting along either side of it, allowing me to remove the wishbone. And all this is going to do is just make carving the chicken a lot easier after the roasting process is complete. Now we have a whole video series on chicken fabrication, so I'll put a link to those in the show notes if you're kind of unfamiliar with this subject. So next we're going to flip the chicken breast side down, and using a sharp pair of kitchen shears, I'm going to cut alongside the backbone to remove the backbone. And this is going to allow us to do what's called a spatchcock method, which is removing the backbone and then butterflying out the chicken so it lays flat. And we're going to pull on the chicken, kind of press down on it, and this is going to break the breastbone as well. And this is going to lay our chicken flat for even cooking. I'm going to drizzle over a good bottle of olive oil, which was sent to me by a fan of Stella Culinary, which I appreciate. The olive oil is delicious. I'm going to give the chicken a good rub down, and this is not only going to add some flavor to the chicken, but the fat in the olive oil is going to be a good conductor of heat to give us a nice, beautiful, evenly crisp skin. Season liberally with kosher salt. Both sides. Now you'll notice I'm not brining my chicken. You can take that extra step, but this results in such a juicy chicken, I would dare say that's not even necessary. Now here are the giblets from the cavity of the chicken. I'm going to mince these up and add this to my vegetable mix just because I'm a fan. I'm a fan of the giblets. I think they have a great flavor. Some people are squeamish about them. Feel free to leave them out. This technique is all about you and using the vegetables and the flavors that you like. Now I'm going to give the cutting board a quick wash in the sink to get off all the chicken. And now I'm going to start my vegetable prep. Now the secret behind this technique is you want to use root vegetables. So here I'm going to be using carrots, pearl onions, and potatoes. And you'll notice I peeled the carrots, and I'm cutting the carrots on a bias to try and even out the size a little bit. This is going to allow them to cook more evenly. The pearl onions, I'm going to cut off both ends. And then I'm going to do a slit down the side, which allows me to peel them while they're still raw. Now, the great thing about this technique is that it's completely customizable. You can decide, hey, I only want to have carrots and do a glazed carrot dish underneath my roasted chicken, or you can pick any number of seasonal root vegetables. The key is you want to choose root vegetables primarily because it's the starch that will thicken your sauce later on. So here I have some ginger that I just peeled down. I'm going to cut on a bias into thin slices. Then I'm going to cross-cut the ginger into a very fine julienne. I'm going to line up that julienne and then just do a quick cross cutting. And this is going to give me a nice, quickly minced ginger that I'm going to add to my vegetables. Now you notice that I'm using a large amount of ginger. The flavor will mild with the ginger. Here I have shallots so I'm cutting up, but the flavor will mild with the ginger as you cook it. But if you want to, use no ginger or less ginger, that's completely up to you. Here I have some garlic. I'm going to go ahead and peel that and mince it up. And then the final touch is a couple of pats of butter. Now, we do have a large amount of vegetables here, so this butter is going to help with our glaze. It's going to add some butteriness and some fat to our glaze. I'm going to cover the vegetables with 1 cup of dry white wine. Whatever you like is fine. And you don't even have to use white wine, but you can. And here I have 2 cups of chicken stock. I'm going to reserve another 2 cups of chicken stock. And I'll tell you a little secret. All I did was just use the store-bought stuff. I got a good organic store-bought chicken stock. And you'll notice that I mounded up the vegetables in the center of the pan. And I'm going to lay our seasoned chicken that's been butterflied out directly on top of these vegetables. Now, if you don't have stock or white wine, you could actually use water here and it's still going to be delicious. I guarantee it. Now, I'm going to place this in a 475-degree oven. And I have my convection fan on, so if you have one, use it. I'm going to cook for about 50 minutes. Now at this point, I'm going to clean down the rainbow chard, which just has different color stems. And I just happened to see this at the market and it looked delicious. So we're going to use this to finish our vegetable glaze. So you can see that I separate the leaves from the stalk. I'm just going to cross cut it just to tame a little bit. And we're going to later wilt this down. Now the stalks, if they're rather large like these, I'm just going to split them in half and then cross cut them into smaller chunks. Now, at the taping of this video, it's also springtime, and the asparagus season is just at its peak. The asparagus is beautiful. So I'm going to peel down the asparagus and give it a quick blanch in some boiling water. And while I'm waiting for that water to boil, I'm going to strip down some thyme. I'm going to just remove the thyme leaves from the woody stem and give it a quick cross cut, because thyme and chicken and thyme and vegetables in general is just an amazing flavor combination. Add a decent amount of salt to your blanching water. This is going to help keep your greens green. And then after about a couple of minutes, once the asparagus is tender, just go ahead and place it into an ice bath to stop the cooking. Now here I have the stems of the chard that I'm going to place in the basket and blanch. In the meantime, I'm going to remove the asparagus from my ice bath. And then once the chard stems are tender, about another, 1.5 to 2 minutes of cooking, I'm going to shock them in ice water as well and remove to a plate with a paper towel. Now I'm going to take the blanched asparagus and just kind of cut it on a bias. And now we're ready to rock. Now at the 50-minute mark, I'm going to remove the chicken from the oven. I'm going to wipe it down with a little pat of butter. And this is going to help finish the browning. But more importantly, it's going to help our garnishes stick to it. And we're going to garnish with the zest of 1 lemon and also just a little bit of that minced thyme that we just stripped from the stem and cut up. Now I'm going to place this whole thing back into the 475-degree oven for another 10 minutes. And this is going to help finish cooking the chicken and also infuse the thyme and lemon zest into the chicken. Now remember, your times may vary based upon how large your chicken is and the how accurate your oven temperature is, but this is what works for me. I'm going to remove the chicken onto a sheet tray and then place the vegetable mixture over a high flame and bring it to a rolling boil. I'm going to add in another 2 cups of chicken stock. And so that's basically 1 quart container that you would buy at a store of a good quality chicken stock. Now you see this fat around the rim here? Normally you would skim that when sauce making, but you don't want to do that. It's so delicious. It's going to incorporate into your broth. And if you taste at this point, this would be the start of a amazing chicken soup. That stock is just so full of flavor. Now the whole concept behind this is we're basically going to reduce all of the juices in our pan until it's almost dry. And the starches from our root vegetable are going to be our thickening agent. They're going to naturally thicken the sauce. And as I continue to let that reduce and toss it around, towards the end, right when my sauce is almost completely gone, I'm going to add in the asparagus, the rest of the juices from the chicken as it rested. And I rested that chicken next to, on the stove next to the pan to keep it nice and warm. And I'll even place the whole pan on top after I add the chard leaves. And that's going to help create some steam and wilt down the rainbow chard leaves. And once they're wilted, I'm going to give it a little toss. And as you can see, I have just a little bit of that original sauce left to really reduce down. So I'm going to finish that with the rest of the freshly minced thyme, a little squeeze of the lemon that we zested, and some fresh cracked black pepper. Now, once the sauce is almost completely gone and a glaze has formed, I'm going to turn off the heat and take that little pat of butter that we used to rub down the chicken during the end of the cooking process and toss it in. You can see how just beautifully glazed these vegetables are, and they have this intense chicken flavor. Now, the great thing about spatch cooking is check out how easy it is to actually carve this chicken. I'm just going to separate out the legs by pulling it apart and using the tip of my knife to get it in there and detach the leg and thigh portion from the rest of the chicken. And then I'm going to take my knife and insert it in between the leg and thigh joint and just make that disconnection. And what's nice about this is because it's so easy to carve, you'll notice the skin is staying intact. Now, next I'm going to cut right down through the breastbone with my sharp knife. And because of the cooking method that we use, it's extremely easy to get through that breastbone. And you can see when we cut into this breast how tender and juicy it looks. It's going to look just like you brined. I mean, see how juicy that breast is? That's insane. And the leg and thigh is just perfectly cooked. And that comes from the steam that's given off during the cooking process, the steam from the chicken stock and the vegetables. And those vegetables are infused with all the chicken drippings. It is so good. So I'm going to just arrange the breasts around the plate. And I like to kind of do a wing side up on the breast portion that contains the wing. And then I'll take the leg and thighs and I'll place it kind of in front of the vegetables. And then I'll do a little crisscross pattern with the legs. And then I'll go back and I'll take the rest of the vegetables in my pan and I'll sort of fill in that hole. And then I'll kind of give you this beautiful look of these glazed vegetables blossoming out of your whole roasted chicken plate. And there's the finished dish. And I guarantee you, This is not only a great roasted chicken recipe, but the vegetables are so flavorful. If you have people who don't like eating vegetables in your household, this is the way to go. For more information on this technique, including an in-depth blog post and some video techniques, please check out stellaculinary.com/CT16.